Hi, welcome back to another episode of Lid Fits Designs. This is a guest speaker, her husband, Philip. So, our front porch, this isn't like a huge project or anything, but it was really getting to us. This house isn't very old, but the paint was peeling up. Wasn't a great paint job. But the bottom of these pillars are made with the trim that's made out of like an MDF wood. Water's been getting to them. They've been swelling up, splitting. Take note of the paint on the ground right there. That was from the original build, not from my beautiful wife's painting job. So, dragging hoses around and seeing little pieces of paint fall off of our handrails was getting to us. We didn't like the build quality on the bottom of these posts. Nothing was quite cut right or quite to size, and then with the water getting in there and swelling up that MDF, it's put everything looking not so good. Well, we wanted to get to it before it got worse, and so we live in kind of a wet climate here, and it seems like if they would have used a PVC trim, it would have worked out a lot better. But I understand, as a contractor, you get someone who's going to come in and trim it for a lower cost, they're going to use the products they're going to use. Kind of what you get what you pay for, and so to start this project off, the wife got busy. She went out and started sanding down those handrails that needed that heavy coat of paint peeled off, and here she is doing that. So I came in and I thought I could peel off some of the caulk around these bottom boards. It didn't come off very well, so I just got out a pry bar. This was my first one. I was trying to be real delicate, not destroy anything that I didn't need to, but just cut down through that caulk and knock them bottom boards out. And so just using a fat pry bar and a hammer, just kind of stuck it down through there nice and easy as you can with a hammer and a pry bar, and just started prying them out. They weren't hard to remove. It was just being careful, try not to damage too much stuff. So the foreman came out, checked on us there, that little poodle. He thinks he's the best helper. We came in with the sander, just peeling off the caulk. We actually sanded for a while on the bottom of these boards. Thought we could sand them down till they were straight. And I knew we were taking the front face off that MDF trim, but you know, the new trim isn't gonna lay flat if it's sitting against a swelled out piece of trim. So after we took off the caulk, we went around and sanded down the bottom of those so that they were up and down, vertical. That way when we put the new trim on, it would sit straight up and down. Some pieces we got a little better than others, but we gave it the old college try. So I did go get some PVC trim. Figured it would add some water resistant to the lowest piece there. And paint and caulk will do what it does for all the rest of it. I don't want to retrim the whole house, but those bottom pieces that did need replaced, I did go spend the extra little bit to get PVC trim. So I went out, fitted up all my cuts, made sure they fit where I want, sat how I liked. I did label each piece south end of North Pole, west end of North Pole, south end of South Pole. That way, once they were all fitted, none of them were exactly the same length. They were all fit around what I had there. And so that way I didn't get them confused later and I couldn't figure out how to put my jigsaw puzzle of pieces back together. While I was working on that, the wife came over and took care of some more sanding on those handrails. That paint is thick. She actually had to pull out a chisel for a little while and a file and work on some heavier bits as it got closer to the ends and the walls. So my wife came in and primed up everything down below, trying to make that as water resistant as possible. None of this was all filmed at the same time. We had other jobs and whatnot, and sometimes we'd start working on it, the clouds would roll in, it would start raining on us, and we'd have to abandon ship. But we were in a hurry because another storm was moving in this night. Wanted to get some primer on there to not let this wood get wet. So I heard another YouTuber say, oh, you get out that tool everybody's got sitting in their garage, the old oscillating tool. Well, somehow I managed to make it this far through life without ever owning an oscillating tool. So while I was out on another job, I got a break. I was near a Home Depot. I went in, and now I'm the proud owner of a new oscillating tool. Thanks, Milwaukee. I went with the M12 version. They gave me a nice battery for free with it. This thing worked like a charm. I had never even touched one of these things, and I just decided, you know what, we need to get the ends of this MDF board up off of the ground so we can prime the bottom of it. When it was put in place, I don't think anything was painted the way this porch was painted. We followed suit, but it's not the way we would have done it. We're more of piece painters. we would paint each piece and then install it and then go touch up where the screws are, is the way we like to do our trim. But the way this one was, you could tell that they came in, sprayed the house one whole color, and then they just painted the face of it a darker color. Well, I know the end of these boards weren't primed, and hence them sucking all that water up and swelling up. So we purposely wanted to cut these up about 3/4 of an inch off of the ground so that we could prime the bottom of each of those upright trim pieces. So after siliconing up any little gaps we had in the stock trim, my wife came in, masked off, does what she does way better than me, is painting. I'm not a fan. She likes doing it. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But if she likes doing it, I'll let her have all the glory. We actually found other places where there are nicks and little scars in the paint, and when she was going around sanding things, she smoothed out the paint, reprimed everything, and went around and did touch-up paint everywhere with the same color paint, Sherwin-Williams paint, which we do love Sherwin-Williams paint. Some of this stuff is taken real good care of us over the years, so we stick with what we know. It is pricey. There might be better bang for your buck paints out there, but we're happy with Sherwin-Williams. Kept everything the exact same colors, painted everything in the same style, even though it's not our style, but that way we don't have to repaint everything. We just kept true to the way everything else looked and followed suit. I marked off on the pieces of trim that we're installing, on the PVC pieces, where the handrails needed a little bit of room so we could mount these up without them directly on the ground. There are grooves that go on in the concrete for funneling water off of the slab, and it's gonna run right underneath these posts. So if I tried to silicone up those grooves, I would end up with standing water standing up against these posts. So I'm going to keep them open. We decide we're going to move this trim up just a little bit. It's still going to protect the boards underneath, but will hopefully let a little bit of airflow through to help dry things out if water does get into anything. We also, like I said, we primed the bottom of those boards, hoping to keep everything a little bit more waterproof than we found it. So after notching out all those little pieces, we went out and started test fitting them, getting them into place. To make sure everything was consistent, we stacked 2 pieces of cardboard together. That's how high we're gonna put this off of the ground. Don't know the exact measurement. Not very scientific, but we used the same side of those 2 pieces of cardboard every single time to keep it consistent. The top of the trim did turn out even. Putting them up against these handrails was a touch of a chore, but got them into place, went around through a couple 1.5 inch 18 gauge brad nails in each side into the body of the post, and then we came back and put 3 into the end of each joint. We didn't try doing anything fancy like putting 45s in this. The top of the posts are trimmed just like this, 90 degrees, overlapping on 2 sides over the other 2 sides. And we didn't want to retrim everything, and to keep it matching what was there before, we just did it the same style they did. We just got our corners a little bit more square. So right as we got this all pieced together, the rain really started coming down as we were sticking the last few nails into it. We didn't get a silicone it that evening. It rained for the rest of the day. So my wife came in the next day and she put the silicone down. Miss Lid Fits herself, putting her touch on there. Nice smooth spreading. Tried to keep that silicone looking smooth as can be, and turned out really good. Once she got all the silicone done, she came in and primed over the top of all the silicone. It was a paintable silicone, but just to make sure everything covered evenly every time, she gave it a nice coat of prime, and then and she did 2 coats of primer, and then she did 2 coats of paint on everything. going. Here's the finished product. Everything looks back to how it would have looked when it was first completed, except for a little bit better of a silicone job and a little bit better of a paint job, and everything's nice and square. As you'll notice, there's a little paint on the ground out there. That's why I noted it at the beginning of the video, so you could see that. My wife did not do that. That was there from the original painting of the original build. If you want to see more fun projects like this, like and subscribe this video and comment down in the bottom. You think we should have went further than this? I think we did enough touch up to make it last for a little while longer. I'm sure there'll be something in the future we have to do out here, but maybe it will be new siding and paint.